Welcome to Living with Dr. Monica Shah, where we discuss different ways of living our lives and finding fulfillment in a world that often pushes a single version of success, timeline, and identity. Living fully means honoring your truth, and charting our own path on a road less traveled can feel hard. Whether you've chosen a non-traditional life or life chose it for you, this show is here to support your journey and remind you that you're not alone. My guest today is Reet German. I know Reet from back in the day, in our 20s, as we were figuring out our paths and dancing the nights away. I always remember Reet being a bright light, in spite of, and maybe because of, all of the trials that she had experienced even before she hit 20. Through all of these experiences, Reet has had a lot of practice with tuning into her intuition and honing the skill of hearing that inner voice. That has helped her make decisions that some may shy away from, including the decision to sell everything, leave the stability that her family had built, and move across Canada during the pandemic. And later, to leave jobs, pack up again, and travel the world with her partner and 5-year-old daughter. Reet now lives in Hawaii with her family, building roots in a place that she describes as a dream fulfilled and a homecoming to herself. She is a rebranding and style coach, empowerment mentor, speaker, and podcast host, guiding women to realign their outer image with their inner evolution. Through her work, she helps women rediscover who they are beneath the roles that they've outgrown, translating their essence into a personal brand, style, and presence that reflects their truth. Reet's story is woven with transformation, grief, joy, healing, and rediscovery. She takes the opportunity to jump, even when there's fear. And she believes that life is meant to be lived with heart wide open, tears, belly laughs, lessons, and all. I know you'll appreciate her insights and the light she brings. Enjoy. Hello, Reet. It's so good to
Hi.
see you.
Hi, Monica. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited for you and us.
Yes, thank you so much, Reet. You were one of the first people that reached out when you saw that I was doing a podcast, and I've been following your journey through the years. We've known each other since our 20s.
Yeah. Yeah, our mutual friend Tina.
Yeah, that's right.
It's beautiful to see your journey too. I have witnessed you move from countries, change professions, and now living in New York and practicing psychology and serving people. And still, also, I love that you're connected to dance.
Yeah, no, it's such a part of me. I can't even imagine not being connected to it. And I've seen your journey through, social media. It's one of the nice things about Facebook, right? We can kind of stay connected, but I've seen you make the decision to leave and travel the world. And now you're in Hawaii and settled there. And I think that your story is so interesting. I'm so happy that people get to hear more about it.
I'm honored. Through all of this process, I have become so much more open and realize how powerful our stories are when
Mm.
we use it to uplift and when we use it as an experience that we got to
Mhm.
have, right? And it's all learning.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, Reet, I would love if you could share a little bit more about your story and your journey and how you got to the place you are now. I know that's a big, big question, but start wherever you'd like and we can go from there.
So I'm an immigrant. I myself immigrated to Canada with my father when I was 7, from India to Ontario, Canada, and lived in Ontario for close to about 32 years. And, went through a big journey of having parents that were East Indian, had arranged marriage,
Mm.
and without getting into too many deep, deep diving, but my parents, ultimately, my dad divorced my mom, which is very uncommon in our Punjabi culture.
Mhm.
And he remarried my stepmom, who was Guyanese, had another son. And I had a biological brother with my birth mom and then a half brother with my stepmom.
Mm.
So essentially, he brought my brother and I over to Canada, but he didn't bring my mom.
Mhm.
So he He essentially had started a whole new life without us,
Mm,
and he did pass. He passed when I was 15 in 1995, which left me with my stepmom in a journey where I found myself in a religion which I was converted to Baptist Christian. I was born a Sikh. My stepmom was Hindu and she raised us Hindu for a little while until
mm,
she decided to convert to Christianity and Baptist specifically.
mhm,
And we practiced that close to almost a decade. And after my father passed, I found myself at the age of 17 living with a stepmom who is not my birth mom at the cusp of getting remarried.
mm,
So, it was a really unique situation for me at the time, and
mhm,
I didn't fit. Knew
right.
there was something not right for me to stay. It wouldn't be in my best interest to stay in that house. It didn't feel good for my nervous system. I felt this call that I had to leave.
Mhm,
And lucky for me, I did leave, but was welcomed into another family who had also left the church shortly before I did, and they knew me and they welcomed me into their home.
mm,
And for like from 17 till my early 20s, I lived there in Ontario with them, and they were a white Caucasian family.
mhm,
And through all of that, I think at that point, I learned to trust myself early.
mm,
It didn't always make sense. It didn't always look like it was going to work out, right? There was a lot of fear and there was a lot of trauma from my childhood,
mm,
just having left my birth mom and not seeing her again for many, many years,
mhm,
and being raised in a total new culture and
yeah,
being assimilated, right? And forced to conform
mm,
continuously.
yeah,
And so at a very young age, I got used to change, a lot
mm,
of change.
Yeah, I can imagine
Oh,
also just a sense of where do I belong? Where do I fit through all of those experiences? I can imagine that being like a question.
that has been a theme of my life.
Yeah.
Because having come from Eastern, like Punjab to Canada, I was dropped into a town where I was predominantly Caucasian, and I had to learn English.
mm,
And now I'm with a new stepmom, and where do I belong was question. Why am I here?
mm,
And then changing my family again in my teens after my father passed and having no connection to my birth family at that time. And I continued to ask, where do I belong?
mm,
And yet people opened their doors to me and their hearts to me and poured love into me.
mm,
I think it's a very powerful love is a powerful force.
mm,
And when you push past fear and you lean into curiosity and courage and say, hey, I have no idea
mm,
how this next chapter of my life is going to go, but I'm going to lean in and
mm,
I'm going to trust that it's going to work out the best for me.
mm,
And I've kind of continuously I've done like a timeline of my life, and if I look back and every 7 to 8 years, I have a complete makeover or a rebirth.
yeah,
I was 7 when I came to Canada. My father passed away at 15, and I moved in with another family at 17. Through my 20s, it was freedom of movement. We partied, but
mhm,
what got me through was like literally, it felt like it wasn't partying. It was a
mm,
spiritual experience. Like I would go to clubs and I would dance 5 days a week. I
yeah,
look back and I said, that's what got me through that movement.
yeah,
I wasn't a big drinker. I wasn't, but the music and the movement
mm,
helped me move my body, move my energy. And knowing what I know now and having learned and, studied a bit more science and the physiology and how powerful that is. Because I always asked myself, I said, though it was challenging times and I felt alone, how did you do it, Reet? How
mm,
did you do it? And there was really challenging moments of feeling alone and feeling like, how am I going to ever get out of this? Like, how am I
mm,
going to ever be able to afford anything, a life worth living? Yet at the same time, Monica, like at the same time, I knew there
yeah,
was more to life for me.
mm,
Intrinsically, in my intuition, in my gut, I knew there was more life for me. I was meant for a bigger purpose.
mhm,
And and that's still serving me. That attitude and that trust is still serving me because,
Mhm.
um, I went on to meet my partner when I was 27. We've been together 17 years.
Wow.
And, that in itself is challenging when you are not, relationships are not,
Mm.
it's nobody set an example for me what a healthy relationship looked like.
Yeah, relationships weren't safe, right? They
No.
weren't. Yeah.
And I had huge abandonment issues being like people leave.
Mhm.
I'm not worthy of love. At the same time, I've learned two things can exist at the same time. I
Mm.
felt worthy of love, yet I also felt unworthy of love
Yeah.
because my mom was taken away, my father was taken away, then I had to run away basically from my stepmom.
Mhm.
And my adopted family was lovely, but every family has their own issues, their own set of beliefs and values, and some align and some don't. And
Mhm.
a lot of times I felt I conformed to the
Mhm.
environment that I showed up in.
Mhm.
I to fit in and so that I wouldn't feel like abandoned. And that was like,
Mhm.
I have to conform so they want me around.
Mhm.
I have to, do what I need to do so that I don't have to do this alone.
Yeah, I have to adjust, otherwise they won't love me. I won't
Yes.
belong. Yeah.
Absolutely, exactly.
Mhm.
And all you want to do as a kid is belong.
Yeah.
And then I mean not even as a kid, just in life, we do want a sense of belonging.
Mhm.
And it's taken me 45 years, soon to be 46, to realize I belong. I belong to me.
Yes, yes. Yes, I was gonna ask how that thread, that searching for belonging has played out kind of throughout your life, because you have been in a lot of different environments, and you said that you've had these like 7-year shifts where things have really transformed in your life and environmentally even. So I'm wondering kind of how that thread has shown up, that belonging.
It's powerful one, and it's one that still can creep in time to time. I think if we're honest, our lifelong journey is this experience of coming home,
Mhm.
right? And as we peel away layers from our past, wanting to conform and wanting to shed away all of these identities that
Mhm.
I put on for each one of those cycles of life, those
Yeah.
families, I
Yeah.
created a new identity to survive that chapter of my life.
Mhm.
And one thing that has been pivotal for me is leaning into my intuition and trusting when that nudge came, it's time to move.
Mhm.
I listened every
Mhm.
time. And so after my father passed, when I moved into the new family, I listened. And when that was time to move from that family onto my own, I
Mhm.
listened.
Mhm.
And in COVID
Mhm.
2020, when the world shut down and I was a new mom, my daughter was just about two. And I had to leave my job to stay home with her.
Mhm.
And my husband and I decided to make this huge decision to, beginning of COVID, to sell everything, sell our home, and move across the country from Toronto to Vancouver.
Mhm.
And I listened. These moments when they are so clear and you listen,
Mhm.
they're powerful and they're quick. We had talked about different
Yeah.
things over the years, but when the decision was made, within 2 to 3 months, we packed up and we were gone. We
Yeah.
moved. And this was in the middle of a pandemic.
Mhm.
And the same thing, once we moved across the country, we knew it was a transitional move. We didn't know what that meant.
Mhm.
So we lived in just outside of Vancouver for 2 years. That feeling, that intuitive guide inside of me was like, it's time to move. But this time you are going to be tested and you are going to do something unlike anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was selling everything and taking a year to go around the world with our, at the time,
Mhm.
5-year-old.
Yeah. Wow. And that's the thing, right? Intuition, it doesn't always feel easy to follow, right? It's not necessarily the easy path. I'm wondering how you could tell that it was an intuition. And that's a question that comes up a lot when I'm working with people, is like, what is intuition? How do I tell? And so I'm yeah, wondering what it's like for you.
For me, it's generally really clear, but it's in my body. It's not
Mhm.
in my head.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't overthink it, but it's like a gut.
Mm.
Even as you asked me that question, I got this gut feeling of there is fear. The fear comes from overthinking in my head, right? And then when I sit with it and I realize there's never been a time where it hasn't worked out for me.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and that could look different for everybody. I
Yeah.
Working out does not mean there's no challenge, there's no pain. Working
Mhm.
out, like when life is handing you, you're on this cusp of this cliff of, do you jump or do you just stay on safe? And my intuition has always jumped because I believe in this world we have to get really confident and comfortable with the unknown
Mm.
because it's the only constant, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it would serve me to be very safe if I had stayed in this beautiful home we had built. We had 2 cars. We had the life people they sold us. That
Yeah.
this is what you work towards. The
Mm.
home, the cars, the corporate jobs. But what they didn't tell you is the disconnection to your soul, the self-abandonment that you wake up one day not knowing
Mm.
what is actually wrong with your life, but something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
You don't really nobody told you
Mm.
that there was an option to live something different.
Yeah.
Nobody told us at the time growing up that you do have options and choices. That was never talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. We talked about this when we were on our call a few weeks ago. That point where you're doing all the things, like all the things that are right, right? Like there's this path and you had it all. You had the house, you had the marriage, you had the child, you had the job, and somehow it didn't quite feel like you.
Nope, it didn't because the signs were there, but we ignore them,
Mhm.
right? It always felt forced.
Mhm.
I was constantly in push mode.
Mhm. Right.
And I would push myself so hard, and yet it would never be enough. And
Mhm.
so to go back to answer your question,
Yeah.
when I made these intuitive decisions, they never ever once felt like I was pushing.
Yes.
I made a choice and I had ease and my body just relaxed.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I made a choice to do something different. And it was from my heart and my soul
Mhm.
to go on this journey of discovery and curiosity and what life could look like
Mhm.
beyond what we were told.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I'm wondering if there was, when you make a decision like that, when you are choosing to do something that looks very different from what you're seeing around you, and you described there's this like knowing that this is not quite for me. But what is it like to then do something different? What are some of the challenges you faced? Was there some pushback?
Oh, that's a great question, Monica. Most definitely. When we made the decision to move from Toronto to Vancouver, I thought it was such a beautiful decision. I was so excited to share it with family.
Mhm.
And yes, I was blindsided because I didn't think that somebody would be upset at us making a decision that was going to be ultimately for us.
Yeah.
It was very painful for some of our family members to receive that news that we were moving. Their grandchild was gonna be not as close as they were.
Right.
It's taken me a long time, but I see they were thinking about their pain,
Mm.
right? And as we do, we think about ourselves. How is it gonna affect me, my life? Immediately, we can't really put ourselves in the other people's shoes and say, "Hey, why are they making this move?" We were questioned and we were doubted
Mhm.
and we were essentially there was a lot of pain in the sense that we were letting people down.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had to face for the first time in our life that doing what we wanted and what was true to our heart was
Mhm.
hurting somebody. And that was something like really new and really uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And I also wanted to prove to them, being like, I'm not trying to hurt you. We are called to do this. This feels right for us and
Yeah.
our family. And so
Mm.
that came with a lot of its
Exactly.
own feeling of now not belonging again.
Mhm.
As long as I'm doing something that everybody likes and agrees with, I belong. The
Yeah.
moment I go outside of that parameter of what is expected of me, I
Yeah.
no longer I no longer belong or that's not acceptable.
Wow, that must have been so scary, to kind of disrupt that feeling of belonging since it's something you'd sought.
Yeah, I think it was scary, but if anything, really ignited the
Mm.
first the first few layers of grief that had never been addressed.
Right.
Sadness, anger. Why are they behaving like this towards me? I'm not doing anything to hurt them.
Right.
I'm choosing to live my life on my terms. And
Mm,
why can I not be accepted for that? It opened up for the first time in my life. I was early 40s
mm.
and I felt angry that my choices were being questioned. And it was a new feeling because prior to that, you do not get angry.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. You act out of love.
Yeah.
The conditioning from the religious
Yeah.
was like, that's sinful. We, we respect our parents, we respect our elders, and we respect others. And
Mm,
the thing is, like, I don't recall respecting ourselves. Like,
yeah.
we were taught and conditioned to put everybody else first and everybody else's needs first. And
Mm,
especially as women,
mhm.
to self abandon so deeply that honestly, Monica, that was the beginning of coming home. It didn't feel like it then.
Yeah.
But now, sitting here 5 years later, it
Mm,
was the start of an uncomfortable journey of starting to drop the weights,
mhm.
drop the layers and this clothing and these masks and identities that I had put on for 40 years to be
Mm,
a people pleaser
mhm.
and this perfectionist that it's my responsibility to make other people happy at
Mhm.
my expense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a coming home to you, right?
Oh yeah. It was very uncomfortable and painful because I'd never felt belonged. I didn't feel like I belonged to myself. So
Right.
it rocked every part of my being, my physical, my emotional, my mental well-being. It made me doubt my decision. And you will when you make life-altering decisions and you choose to go off the beaten path and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I want to go on my own path." You will feel physical pain, emotional, mental, all of it. Well,
Yeah.
your energetics are being rocked because it's being challenged because you've never had to hold this
No.
before.
Right, and you're holding both where it's like you know you're doing what you're wanting to do. You know you're doing something for yourself, and yet there's this like such a strong reaction you're getting from the outer world and messages
Yeah,
like, no, that's wrong. You shouldn't want
yeah.
it. You shouldn't be doing that. And like,
And the
yeah,
uncertainty that comes with like others' love is dependent on if I keep them happy.
yeah,
I was challenged with that a lot, and the uncertainty of giving up and changing everything you knew, your safety of your home, and now moving across the country and potentially our jobs. I didn't have a job. My husband was lucky enough to be transferred, and then we opted to leave our jobs
mm,
when we went around the world. That was in 2022. We made the decision that I did not want to put our daughter into kindergarten yet, right? So quickly after COVID. I
mhm,
wanted her to experience and world school her,
mhm,
teach her through experience.
mhm,
And so when we did that, we both decided we sold our home, we had savings, and we weren't by any chance millionaires, but we were wise with some of our decisions back then. And we said, we're going to do this for a year, but we're going to do it by leaving what we've known again, this time at such a level where we're going to be constantly under this pressure of change every month, every few weeks, new country, new language, new currency. We have to make sure drinking water is safe for our family. It's not like we opened up a book and planned a year ahead.
yeah,
We would book a couple of flights a couple months in advance. And then many times we would book an Airbnb a week before in another country. And
mm,
it even rattled us more,
mhm,
but it was necessary because, as I had mentioned earlier, my cycles of 7, 8 years, I was used to the changes, but they were calculated and still under this. There was like a mattress underneath it. It felt like, because it was still like they were safe enough to do because nobody had disapproved of it yet.
mhm. Right. So when you moved to Vancouver, that was one of the first times that there was this pushback, where there was the threatening of, like you said, your belonging.
Yeah.
And I could imagine that bringing up resistance in you of like, wait a second, I'm doing something that actually feels like me, and they're not they're not wanting me to. that resistance from them is so strong. How did you move through knowing that something was right for you and getting that pushback?
I sat with a lot of pain and grief and anger. I didn't know what to do with it. So once we moved to Vancouver, we hired a coach, a life coach at the time,
Yeah.
very much around understanding that pushback and the what I was feeling at that moment, it
Mhm.
wasn't about that moment. It was about the roots that I had never addressed as a child.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was for the first time. I'd been through therapy large parts of my life, but it was very different. It's like you talk, temporarily feel better, walk, okay,
Yeah.
keep going. But I'd never actually opened Pandora's box and addressed the root cause and
Yes.
the root wounds of leaving my birth mom at 7. The trauma my father and like he was angry and abusive at times. Having to move all of these times and having to constantly feel I have to prove myself for love. So
Yes.
that
Yes.
was the first time. It started to awaken when my daughter was born
Mhm.
when I was 37. My body went through physical changes.
Mhm.
So my body went through early menopause. So
Mm.
that set me on this path of the anger was already starting to kind of like pull up, but
Mhm.
I wasn't blaming anybody else. I was blaming myself
Right.
and my body being like, how dare you? How
Mhm.
dare you fail me? Being like, this is not how it's supposed to go. This
Right.
is not what I was told.
Yeah.
That's supposed to happen when you're 50 and
Mm.
not when you have a newborn. And that was leading up to the move to Vancouver. I had been managing this. I'd been learning about DBT therapy, trying to educate myself, reading lots of books. And it still felt only like I was touching the surface because I wasn't going to all the childhood stuff that was the big T, the
Mhm.
big trauma in
Mhm.
my life. And also didn't have an understanding on the fact that we come into this life, depending on what people believe, we also inherit our parents' traumas in our bodies and on our energetics. That some of the heaviness that I've been carrying is mine, my mother's, my grandmother's, and it doesn't always, you can't always explain it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I really learned a lot through my coach from an understanding how life impacts us in different seasons.
Yeah.
And I kind of understood why it was happening to awaken me to
Mhm.
my authentic self, to come back home and
Mhm.
to be my own belonging.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, through this journey, going to Vancouver was that first point where it was the process of coming home to you, the start of that, right? And
Yeah.
finding that belonging in yourself because even, as we go through different points of life, like I've moved a bunch of times as well and had to kind of leave everything, everyone that I knew and start again. Within that, it actually does help you form a greater connection to yourself. And you are the thread throughout your life, right? Whoever
Yeah.
else comes in and out. And, those connections are beautiful. And the one to yourself is so important to cultivate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to unravel you.
Mm,
Somebody who's listening to this episode, it's not going to be comfortable.
mm,
You are going to challenge every thought, every emotion, every feeling, every sensation in your body. It's going to challenge and rock you,
yeah.
right? Like every time I moved, there was a new building, a
Hmm.
new foundation you had to kind of start from.
Yeah.
Um, and you do pull on some of the stuff from what you grew up with, your culture, your upbringing, and the value system that was imposed on you. Until I learned that I get to have my own values. I have my
Mhm.
own values. I had to learn what they were. Like, free, I think having a sense of autonomy and freedom of choice was a huge, huge one for me.
Mhm.
And it was the first time that it was kind of challenged.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us more about that decision to go and travel the world during the pandemic and what that was like, that part of your story.
Yeah, I love this part because it was an inner knowing and trusting. When you trust yourself, miracles truly happen. And I had this call, it was in my gut for a long time. And that finally the opportunity came where I felt safe. We had some funds and security to do this. And I presented this idea to my husband and saying, "Hey, what do you think about this?" We talked about it, and I was very clear, like, this was very important, and
Mm.
I didn't even understand why it was gonna be important until later, but I presented saying, "Hey, I would love to take a year, and this has been a dream of mine to travel around the world, and then to do it with our family," and the world was just starting to open up. Still, masks were in place, but we needed,
Mm.
like, vaccine IDs and all of this wildness,
Yeah.
and so we did it again. We sold our home. We sold it at a time where the market was still high, and
Mhm.
3 weeks later, after we sold our home, the markets crashed. It
Wow.
was the first of 8 interest rate hikes, and we wouldn't have been able to do it in the manner that we did it in,
Mm.
and gave us a little bit of safety and security in the funds,
Mhm.
and so my husband decided, after conversations, he's like, I'm going to leave my career of almost 20 years. He'd
Wow.
been with that company for 11 years, and he gave his notice August of 2022. We
Mhm.
set off to our first country. We went to South America. We went to Costa Rica. That's where we started our journey.
Mhm.
Um, Followed by 23 other countries around the world. We planned to just go west, kept going west, 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 because it made sense for time difference, and it felt like we were just constantly gaining time.
Mm.
And we were very I was very physically nervous. There
Mhm.
was now another layer of unraveling happening because this time we don't have a home to come back to. Like the thoughts started going wild of being like, what are
Yeah.
you going to do in a year, Reet?
Mm.
No jobs, no home.
Yeah.
But I had to work through that and said, in life, we have no idea
You never know.
what's going to happen tomorrow,
Yeah, it's true.
and lean into that uncertainty again and
Mhm.
say, all I know is change is constant. So why not enjoy this journey?
Yeah.
And we truly did. We were 4 months in South America. We were in Costa Rica, Colombia, Chile, Peru, Argentina. And it was the powerful energy there of those cultures was a beautiful beginning for us
Mhm.
because we were surrounded by such rich nature.
Yeah.
It allowed us to and we were at mountains, nature, ocean, kind of calibrate us a little bit for
Mm.
what was coming. We didn't know what was coming. It was, you
Yeah.
know, it set the stage, and we did like planes, trains, automobiles, and um it was a powerful, powerful journey. The
Mm.
first 4 months was just us integrating our decision to leave Canada.
Yeah, yeah, right. Everything that you had known. I mean, you did that once when you moved to Vancouver, but then this is another level where you're giving up jobs, you're giving up stability, right? You're giving up
Yeah.
home to travel, which I think it's interesting that you said like there were doubts and there were all those questions of what are you going to do after a year? And so, it doesn't always feel good to make a
Oh
decision like
no,
that, right?
it's contrary. It's actually the opposite. There
Mhm.
was more discomfort than I've felt.
Yeah.
Sometimes even in some of the heavy traumas that I'd been through
Mhm.
after, because my body doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Um, Holding, like, yes, we can come back to family, but that just didn't even seem like an option, right? At our age, we have a child, and yes, I trust that we're going to be okay, but what does that okay look like?
Yes. No idea.
You're in new countries, speaking, like, learning, trying to communicate, and you're focused on getting clean water and making sure, nobody's getting sick, and
Mhm.
um kind of working through that. But we kept moving through it.
Mhm.
We kept moving through it in different layers, and the work was happening in real time.
Mhm.
We were having to face, my husband and I, both of us, not just it wasn't just me, it was
Yeah.
all of us, and then holding space for our daughter.
Yeah.
With that much change, movement happening, you have
Yeah.
to try to make sure your
Yeah.
communication and the support, leaning on each other
Right.
and being honest to our daughter that, we don't know, and that's okay.
Yes. Wow, yeah, I mean, and you really you are each other's homes, right? You have to kind of
Yes.
create that as you travel and move to all these places.
Yeah, and recreate a new home every month, every few weeks. And that was one of the biggest lessons,
Mhm.
that you are your own home, and it's you create the home. It's not
Mhm.
outside of you.
Mm.
Whatever environment you are, you get to choose what home looks like there.
Yes. Yeah.
And you get to change the definition of what home looks like because we did that.
Right, because if you have that within yourself or within, for you, your unit, then wherever you go, it's with you. Wherever you
Yeah.
travel, whatever you try, you still have that feeling of belonging. Yeah.
And we were continuously breaking old identities again and
Mm,
molds of, oh, home's going to look like this. Well, homes look like very different in different countries.
mm,
But what you bring, you are the seasoning of life, right? Like you are the foundation, you are the bricks,
yeah.
and you are also all of the stuff that fills the cracks. And
Mm-hmm.
that part of that is the uncertainty, and that challenges us what we were told success and wealth is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Redefining, we had to redefine,
Yeah.
hey, maybe success and wealth for us is through this journey, we learn about ourselves and what we're made of,
Mm-hmm.
the resilience that and the strength we have, and the capacity to hold discomfort and come out the other end and being like, we've really, really stretched ourselves.
Yeah.
And yet we're so resilient.
Right. Yeah, so how has that shift kind of followed you now to where you're at? Like the shift in how you define success, how you define life.
It's funny you ask that because we're sitting in some more uncertain times, definitely with the way the world is right now.
Yeah.
Uh, in 2023, after our year trip, we went and visited our family back in Canada to just
Mhm.
say hello, to close off any loose ends. And we decided to move to Hawaii. My husband's dual citizen, so it was an opportunity that we're like, let's try it.
Right.
It was our daughter's idea because we didn't know. We were like, we know that Canada didn't feel like the fit for us at that moment.
Mhm.
And there was something else calling us.
Mhm.
And so when we left, we asked our daughter, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? And she said, of course, Disneyland.
Of course.
And of course, and after she's like, well, we can't live there. She knew clearly. She's like, Hawaii, not a hesitation.
Mhm.
Because when we had stopped in Hawaii, she had a beautiful experience in the ocean, snorkeling, that left an imprint
Mhm.
on her, that of
Mhm.
safety, of curiosity. And when she said that,
Yeah.
I remember it was one of the top places I would love to live in. It was a dream.
Yeah.
And now I was reminded again that you get to create your dreams.
Wow.
You are an active participant in creating your dreams, right? So it starts by saying yes and
Mhm.
then taking the action and doing it. So
Yeah.
we landed, we came here, we live on Oahu now over 2 years.
Mhm.
And we're sitting in uncertainty because while we were around the world, halfway through the year, my husband, he started his own business consulting.
Mm.
Similar work to what he was doing before, engineering and design work and project management, but he consulted back to his old business, old company.
Mm.
And since then, he has other clients. And so the uncertainty in building a new business,
Mm.
coming to a new island, and now renting as opposed to owning and dealing with like, hey, we
Yeah.
still make a family.
Yeah.
The home doesn't define owning versus renting. Home is here.
Yeah. Yeah. Home is kind of in your heart. Home is yourself. Yeah. And it strikes me that Mila is the one who said, well, let's go to Hawaii. Let's move there. And children are so open, right? They're so open and kind of unmarred by all of those like, well, what about this? What about that? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And you can figure it out once you demonstrate like that level of openness. Yeah.
It goes back to all the decisions I made. I truly feel that ones that were very clear and decisive were made from my child, that
Mm,
my inner child. My
mm,
inner child, she never steers me wrong because even though she's wounded, it's like she knows.
mm.
She trusts, yes, there's times that she was scared, but she's like, hey, you'll never know. You'll
Yeah.
never know unless you lean into this. Do you want to sit in regret
Mhm.
twice?
Yeah.
Once now for not making a decision that you want, and once later when you're 90 at the end of your life and you didn't follow your dreams?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's also wonderful that you gave Mila this experience of going and traveling the world and experiencing all of those things, I think those experiences can give you a whole other perspective, right? And she's getting that so young. I'm curious if you can speak about some of the joys that have come from leaning into this uncertainty and kind of throwing yourself into the discomfort of making these decisions.
The joy is living this life on your terms, and you're completely responsible for your decision. So, you can look at it both ways. I choose to look at it as a joy that I get a choice in my life, and I get to create and be an active participant on what my life looks like. There is no victimhood. I try not to, I
Yeah.
take responsibility. If I want something, I change and I work to getting it.
Yeah.
If I want a certain experience, I create it. And I'm trying to teach my daughter that is the joy. Through parenting, I'm healing my inner child. Through parenting her, I'm getting to learn more about me, why my triggers are triggering me. I'm literally getting to know myself even deeper through all of these experiences and taking risks, starting my own podcast,
Yeah.
being courageous enough to have all of these women that in the past imposter syndrome would have been like, oh my goodness, like psychologists, doctors,
Right.
lawyers, huge successful women, like why would they want to talk to me?
Mhm.
And doing what I've done and experiencing what I've experienced, now say, why not me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not me?
Yeah.
Because I am capable. I am a living, embodied human who goes after their dreams and creates it. And there's no imposter there. There's a really authentic woman living her life on her terms and learning to love herself deeply and
Yeah.
accept herself with all of her flaws and releasing judgment. And then through that, healing my relationships with the people that don't maybe agree on my life and understanding that it's okay. They don't have to. And
Yeah.
I may never understand all of it, but that I can still choose to accept them and send them love.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that they're going to be active participants in my life, but I can forgive and move on in love.
Yeah, and realizing that that pushback from them is more about them, right?
Exactly.
Less
It's
about
about the dreams they didn't follow or the
right.
regrets or the fears they have. And we're living them out and it's triggering something. And that's a message for them to do the work. And whether they do it or not, that's not up to me. That's not my business. Mine
Right.
is showing compassion. And that's been the most challenging part,
Yes.
showing myself compassion through it all. Not
Mm,
judging myself and blaming myself and realizing other people's lives and experiences are not my responsibility
yeah.
and putting that luggage and that weight off my shoulders
Mhm.
and moving forward lighter and saying, we are all here to have an experience. And part of doing the work is living our own journeys and coming back and learning to trust ourselves.
Yeah. I love that sentiment of you get to be an active participant in your life. Like you
Yeah.
can be that.
Yeah.
I think that we do tend to sometimes let other people and society's expectations and like, all these external sources seem
Yeah.
to have a say on our lives and what we do with them.
We outsource everything. We
Right.
outsource our happiness. We outsource our authenticity. We hide our vulnerability. We
Mhm.
outsource our decision making. And what this has done is brought me back saying, I am my own healer.
Mm.
I know ultimately what I'm here for, my purpose in this life and
Mm.
what my mission is. And it's my responsibility to hold myself accountable to move through all of these challenges that are meant to be in our life to help us grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not easy. You don't come to that overnight.
Yeah.
That's called
Right.
doing the work of sitting in the discomfort,
Mhm.
seeing where you may have personality traits or habits or addictive behaviors
Mhm.
and slowly, compassionately addressing those. There's always a little root that ties back down and being like, why does this feel painful? Where have I felt this before?
Mhm.
Curiosity has been a game changer in
Mm.
kind of showing myself you treat others with so much love and compassion, Reet. Now, what if you turn that around and
Mhm.
gave yourself some grace, compassion, and love, and release the judgment around it.
Yeah, it's such a journey, right?
And it still continues to be. We talk about this, and then I have very real lived experiences earlier this morning or later when I'm mothering, and
Mm,
I've kept it together, and something snapped, and I'm triggered again, and I
mhm.
find myself like,
Yeah.
I thought I worked through this. Well, you work through several layers, and
Yeah.
then there's more life to be lived underneath that.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a day-to-day practice, right? Progress is not linear.
No, and progress over perfection
Mm,
and progress over prevention. Like, it's things I've learned recently because Indian household, perfectionism was what we were supposed to achieve, what we were supposed to look like, what at this point, the standards that were being placed on us,
mm,
having to continuously dismantle them.
mm.
And for me, really important not to imprint those onto my child. And
Yeah.
sometimes I do. And then I get on to her level and apologize and say, that's not what I even believe. That's not even something that is in our values.
Yeah.
But it came and kind of reared its head, another form.
Mhm. Right, and we react to things maybe in a way that's more of a default from what we've experienced
Oh
over
yeah.
our upbringing, but there's this, like, conscious process of, like, "Wait a second, is this actually what I believe? Is this me? Is this me,
Yeah.
or is this another voice?" Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Reet, do you have any tips or final words for people who might be wanting to do something different, but really dealing with a lot of that discomfort and the fears and the questions, similar to how you were doing?
I'm going to give the most wisest of words I got from my daughter, who's 8 years old. When I started the podcast, I was
Mhm.
like, I'm feeling really nervous. I asked her, I'm like, Mila, I'm really scared. I'm nervous. I don't know what I'm doing. And she's a skateboarder. So she says, in the wise words of an 8-year-old, she says, Mom, lean in. And I was like, powerful. And I share that because she said, Mom, if you lean back, you're going to fall on a skateboard. So
Mm,
we can't look back. And you don't want to look back when you're 80 with regrets of the things you wish you had done. Ask your 8-year-old self, are you proud of where you are right now?
mhm,
Do you feel it's aligned? Like, if you ask your 8-year-old and 80-year-old self, if you think of those two, are you living your life or are you living somebody else's life? And so you have to lean into the discomfort because nothing is guaranteed. You have growing pains when we're growing.
mhm,
You're stretched, and that's natural.
mhm,
And right on that other side of that fear and uncertainty is your next upgrade,
mm.
is exactly the version of you that's waiting for you to step into her,
Yeah, waiting for you to lean in.
waiting for you to lean in. So lean in. It is the most unraveling, but the most extraordinary experience of a lifetime when you lean in. And I'm 6 months into my podcast, and the growth I have seen, the lives I have touched, people have shared with
Mhm,
me. I know I'm living my purpose.
mm, mhm,
It doesn't have to be what everybody else is doing. Do it for you. Do
mhm.
what is authentic to you. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing, what Monica's doing. Women, we know there's something sitting on our heart, something, and we don't know what it is, but take the first step.
Yeah, I love that.
Clarity comes after action.
Mhm. Right, clarity comes through walking in the confusion for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Walking in the discomfort, but leaning into it and seeing
Yeah.
where that goes. Like you said, if there it doesn't have to look the same or be the same. It's likely different for each person, right? The
For
thing
sure.
curiosity, like, I've always been curious about this. I've always wondered about doing that. Just try. Just see what happens.
There's n there's no such thing as failure.
Yeah.
You will uncover parts of yourself you would never have uncovered if you didn't go through that experience. This
Mhm.
year especially has tested me. It's felt scary. I thought I wanted to be a real estate agent, and I went and passed the course, then I did the exam, and I failed the exam twice.
Mm.
And you know what? I learned more about myself than what a number on an exam told me. I
Mhm.
learned that I show up for myself. You know what I realized? I don't want to
Mm.
be a real estate agent. I was doing it because somebody told me I'd be good at it. But
Yeah.
why don't you just find out?
Right. Right.
Through that process, I realized, oh, one way or another, you're going to find out, oh, this is for me, or a definite answer and be like, nope, not for me.
Yeah, it's true. And you don't know until you try. And sometimes following your intuition actually looks like trying something and knowing what's not for you.
And a lot of times, you're gonna have to try a lot of things, and a
Mm.
lot of things may not be for you, and you may do them temporarily, and who's to say I may not go back and write my exam again? Because timing, and there's no failure. It reminded me that I was more worried about what people would think if I failed the exam than I was actually about failing the exam.
Yeah.
Even at 45, still, we have little wounds that come up and rear their head up being like, failure.
Yeah.
Fail forward. It's the opportunity of a lifetime to try all of these things. So
Mm.
why are we not doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good question. Reed, thank you so much for this conversation. It's been so great to reconnect with you. And I know we're going to continue this connection. I'd love to have you back on even.
It would be my honor. And, there's so many topics that we speak on, and life is constantly evolving. The next conversation will be completely insightful and inspiring and hit some different women that need to hear it. I'm so proud of you for doing this work and what you do. And I'm so thankful for you going for it. You're inspiring women all over.
Thank
You
you.
are.
Thank you. Well, Reed, how can people find you and learn more about you, maybe even connect with you?
Thank you for asking, Monica. So people can find my podcast, Reignite with Reet, on all major platforms: Apple, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube. Or they can at Reet German on Instagram, follow my page. And I am also a rebranding coach. So you can reach out my website, and all of my links and everything will be on my link tree, which you can find on at Reet German on Instagram.
Okay. Thank you again, Reed. I look forward to our next conversation.
I do too. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Living with Dr. Monica Shah, where we discuss different ways of living our lives and finding fulfillment in a world that often pushes one. I hope this series gives you more confidence in creating and living a life that fits you, not the mold. If you like what you heard and you're ready to feel seen, inspired, and supported in building your path, don't forget to hit subscribe. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and grow a community of people who are redefining what living means together. So please share and leave us a rating or review. You can also watch on our YouTube channel at Dr. Monica Shah and find episode notes and bonus content at www.drmonicashah.com. Finally, follow me on Instagram at Dr. Monica Shah for more inspiration and resources. Until next time, keep living your unique life. Because no matter what path we're on, it's all just living, and there's more than one way to do it. Just going to pause for a second.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, just do a little stretch. Yep, yep. Well, Reet, I wonder. No, no. Well, Reet, I don't know. One more time.